Good morning. Those of you who judge, I'm in the same clothes as I was yesterday. So, hope you enjoy that. You look for using as a way to make your pop up picture book happen. I'm going to read to you today's entry, The Mental Institute, an excerpt from Dear Justice, Equity, and Equality. By using my using drugs, the slight delusional ones were able to get me evaluated by feigning care for me. They faked being my friends to authorities. They got away with their little white lies, and the plan was hatched to get rid of the addict. For the neighborhood, of course. They were doing a benefit for society, and everyone supported them and told them that it would work. Officers coached the delusional ones through a process of deception and lies, making something look or sound like something else. Like a drug. Every time the authorities came and took me away with me screaming mad and frustrated. The authorities told the doctors that I was mad, mentally unstable, not fit for society, in order to wage a local law enforcement agenda to get rid of drugs in the city. I know facts, and there is too much evidence against both of them. And each time I reveal truth instead of them admitting it, they team up with the other guilty ones and vow to do more harm and attempt permanent institutionalization. All they need is more paperwork to get their way. So that is what they do. They harass the police and Medcare with story after story about how much of a bad person I am and create elaborate scenarios. And because they are my friend, they know the truth. So the authorities think. I have the truth, and my captors know it. To silence the truth for the good of the neighborhood and keeping up appearances, getting rid of the addict is the better alternative than revealing the liars. I still can't find my grandfather's and my stamp collection. The former is a red fabric-bound book with stamps that date back to 1900. There are a few that are in the late 1880s, and because my grandfather was a secretary in the Army during World War II, he had some foreign stamps as well. Mine was a larger binder. It was blue, with pages that can be inserted just like a binder with clips at the top and bottom. There is one year that has all the stamps in the 1980s that have never been used. My dad, for my birthday, got the complete set of stamps issued that calendar year, and some may still be in the paper sleeve bag that they were purchased in. I forgot if I used the adhesive tabs and put them in their proper identification place on the pages or not. My grandfather's name is in the book that was his. I found the collection during one of the visits over to his house. How I acquired the book exactly is a little fuzzy, but I am the fourth, and my dad is the third, and my grandfather is the junior, and it says Robert E. Milligan Jr. right on the inside of the cover page of the book. My grandfather kept a journal too. I only have 3 ripped pages of his writing, and our cursive looks very similar. He and I are a lot alike. He actually was in AA and in and out of the rooms over the years. Addiction is one of those diseases that has no cure. My father's a drinker, and I think drinks too much. My mom would agree, and he has never sought treatment. When you're addicted to something, it's hard to let go of it. My affliction with drugs is not anywhere near what neighbors believe it to be. In fact, I'm not even an addict by definition. I know how to moderate, and I've never consistently gone above the loopy threshold, except on a handful of occasions. One day, when the pigs arrived, I had passed out because I had taken too much GHB. I had a friend over, and for some reason, my friend Sean came over to check on me. I had just gotten out of the hospital from another neighbor-induced staycation, and I wanted to get high and forget about the experience. When I came to, there were some needles around, and my friend who was over was hiding somewhere, I think outside in the yard, because Sean probably threatened his life if he stepped foot in my house. Sean's not a very bulky person, but he's athletic, and he has the presence of a god. He's well-spoken and a nurse. He used to manage construction sites and is very handy around the house. He contacted my mother, and she decided to drive down without informing me first. So when the cops left, I had about an hour to deal with the impending nightmare of embarrassment. As the dirty pigs left, neighbors across the street asked if I was okay or not, and the pigs said, "Yeah, it's meth," got in their cars and drove away. Now the neighbors knew I had a drug issue. When my mom came down, not being attuned to the volume needed to have a conversation only to be heard on the property, she was rather vocal and used the word meth quite often. She stayed downstairs and slept in the chair near the window. I could hear Patty's voice and some other men across the street murmuring, because I have very sensitive and attuned hearing. So does my mom. I came down several times the nights she was there and asked if she heard the voices across the street. He told me to go back to bed and would never answer me. I needed her validity that Patty was stalking me, and it never occurred. I kept saying Patty wants me to move. She has men on her porch watching me at all hours of the night. I hadn't started keeping track of license plate numbers yet, much like stamp collecting. I was going to put the pieces of the puzzle together for her addict stalker behavior, making me think I was being watched, so that I would be intimidated into moving. That summer, others joined in the fun of teasing the addict. They would hide behind bushes and trees. Voices carry in the ravine and you can hear everyone else talking. It's just the acoustics of the area. Patty's army continued to stalk, and their aggressiveness was always from her yard. I think she set up camp in the backyard and used the studio above the garage as headquarters, giving it to the stalkers to do their business nightly of making me feel unwanted and unwelcome to get me to move. I think at first they thought it was funny that I started taking pictures, until they realized I was taking evidence and pictures of them to show that there was stalking occurring. They had a belief that if they were on their own property, they could do anything, and wanted to look and talk about anything they wanted to. There's a reason why the latest photographs in my iCloud are March 2018. All the pictures before that date disappeared. all the memories of the past instantly erased. I know how it happened, too. Someone was able to get into my computer and delete everything. The contact email for my Gmail account was somehow changed, and I only had one email account that I actually used. There were routine home invasions that occurred because I believe Ryan DeLaha gave Bill a key to my home before he left. The back door was left unlocked, as he clumsily left a couple times. One day, the oaf dragging his feet disturbed the door down to the storm door in my three-season room. The entrance to my home was happening in the back, so that Patty wouldn't see. And only the man who can't be mentioned by identification purposes, according to an agreement, could know who was entering. Since the individual and Patty get along swimmingly well, I have no doubt that Patty the addict, to get me to move, got the person hooked on stalking me too, since the individual has a view of my home. So the triple team was made, and I'm sure it's a secret that he's part of the extermination club. But he must have been let known that Bill was entering my house, and told not to call the police if he saw him entering into my home because he was checking for drugs. There was toothpaste spit in the sink one day, and my toothbrush had been used. I only brush my teeth in the shower. Papers turned over the wrong way or upside down. Things slightly askew in my home. All of these events are textbook definition of gang stalking. I tested positive for fentanyl and Suboxone, and I don't know how I got either of those into my system. So I'm assuming that it was laced in my coffee and is actually considered attempted murder. All of this is a textbook definition of gang stalking, and I didn't know it at the time. All I knew is someone was getting in and doing God knows what inside of my home. Combine the V2K voices, and knowing my home was not secure made me scared out of my mind, and I'm sure I looked paranoid. I tried to hide it, but some nights I just stayed up till dawn in the hopes that neighbors, who didn't like me very much, would at least stop someone from entering my home and killing me. If you want to read more, there's more on Clear Justice, Equity, and Equality on Facebook. All of it's true, because I only tell the truth. Have a great day.